Welcome to Conversations About Cancer. I'm Susan, the proud daughter of Sue Napoli and the executive director of Sue's Gift Gynecologic Cancer Support. This video series is intended to share stories of women with gynecologic cancers, to raise awareness, to share resources and coping skills, and to inspire and bring hope to newly diagnosed patients. Today, I am honored to have a conversation about cancer with Susan, who was diagnosed at age 63 with stage 3C ovarian cancer. Hi, Susan. Thank you for chatting with me today.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Tell me, what was life for you before diagnosis?
Before my diagnosis in 2016, I was a full-time court reporter. Yeah. I had my own freelance court reporting business in Durango, Colorado. I was successful. I was very busy. I was a mom of a newly graduated college student. Nice. And single parent, and also had a lot of interests. I was always running. So yeah. Busy life.
A cyclist, right? A skier, a traveler. You just, yeah. Tell me about, how were you diagnosed?
The autumn before my actual surgery diagnosis, in October, I kept going to my GP, the doctor who delivered my son 30 years now, right, prior, and kept complaining about my stomach being distended. Something I knew was wrong. I had no pain, but I just felt something was not right. I was training for a bike race. My bike shorts got so tight, it was hard to bend over. I kept going to my doctor. I went, in fact, 3 times in 2.5 weeks, and I got the response of women over 60 don't have flat stomachs, lay off the cookies, go to Weight Watchers. I just couldn't seem to get any acknowledgement that I was in tune with my body. Something was wrong. He didn't do a pelvic. He didn't do a vaginal ultrasound. He didn't even suggest any kind of blood work or testing of any type. Wow. He basically sent me on my way and just said, lay off the cookies. So that was in October, excuse me. In early December, my son was in Israel and Jordan, and living there, doing a school last final semester thing. Right. And I decided to just travel and meet up with him at the end of his project because he wouldn't be home for Christmas. I left in early December, and I flew home on the second Saturday in January from Israel. So I'd been there a little less than 5.5 weeks. And that was a Saturday evening. By Thursday, I was rushed up to Denver for emergency surgery. I got home Saturday night, and I don't know if it was the cabin pressure from an overseas flight, but I woke up the next morning and looked 6 months pregnant. So went to the ER, which really I was kept for 2 days, sent home at night, came back, and then was flown up on Wednesday to have surgery Thursday in Denver.
And just to clarify, you live in Durango, Colorado, which is that right? The southwestern corner.
Opposite end of the state.
The opposite end of the state. So then you had to be flown all the way to Denver to get the surgery that you needed. Wow. And then at the time of surgery, you were diagnosed? Is that how that happened?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Right prior.
Right prior.
I wasn't told staging, but my Dr. Babach did say to me, it was pretty clear I had ovarian cancer, and he would know more once he did surgery.
Wow. It's so frequent that we hear these stories of women who've been misdiagnosed by their general practitioners, that you knew something was wrong with your body. You went to the doctor, you stated your case, and the doctor said, nah, you're just gaining weight.
Very frustrating. And I was very in tune with my body because I was training for a bike race. I mean, I was riding 100+ miles minimum a week.
Wow.
I could have eaten a box of cookies, which I wasn't eating.
You could have eaten all the cookies.
And I wouldn't have been having those kind of symptoms. But so I was really angry, but I did later learn through other avenues that it's very common. It's not unheard of that women are dismissed or misdiagnosed. So
I know it is. It's that's the toughest part.
So thank you for advocating for us.
Thank you for advocating and raising awareness like you're doing right now. Thank you. So tell me, when you were telling your friends and family, how did that go for you? You had to call people and tell them you had cancer. Oh.
It was a whirlwind because I basically had a day to make arrangements, to get my business lined up. I had depositions scheduled for weeks on end. All of that, the insurance, the scheduling, everything was a hassle. So I basically called one cousin I'm very close to and told her what was going on and said, call my sister.
Please call everybody else.
People know you can be my contact person and I'll be in touch.
I think that's a really great way to handle that, honestly, is to have one contact person so that people aren't constantly calling you and asking for your updates. They can call your contact person and that person can give the information. I think that's a great plan.
And I had a friend that went with me who was in the waiting room. Obviously, it was a long surgery, but at University of Colorado, they have a screen and they will give you updates on the patient if you're with that patient. So she was she formed a group text and kept people informed from that point of view, from the hospital point of view.
That's wonderful. And you have had recurrence. So you have had ovarian cancer. You've been in treatment and out of treatment with it. We know at this point that oftentimes ovarian cancer, especially late stage, becomes this kind of just chronic disease. Do you feel that that's where you are at this point?
Absolutely. I'm in treatment right now. Excuse me, right now. I've had recurrences after my original year of hysterectomy, total surgery, and chemo frontline. I had a recurrence in 2017. Again in the spring of 2018. I had a 1.5-year break when I went on a PARP. And I've recently been re-diagnosed having my third recurrence, and I will have my third chemo of this cycle next week.
I see. Thank you. What's been the most difficult part, do you think, so far in this journey for you?
The recurrences are tough. The first one was difficult because it was so soon after my original diagnosis. The second one was even more shocking, but then I had great hope with the PARP inhibitor, which I was on for almost 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so that was great. I was on olaparib, Lynparza. But this one, I must say, I don't know whether because it was at the tail end of COVID, when I finally felt like I had a chance to start traveling, this coming year, and life was going to be a little more normal for me and maybe have a few years break from ovarian cancer. That was rough. But I love my doctor. And the thing he said to me is, Susan, you have a chronic disease. We're going to manage this. And that gave me great reassurance. And I take it one day at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the most often said coping skill at this point is that one day at a time thing. Let's just take that one day at a time. What other coping skills have worked for you? Tell me about that beautiful dog. Is he right there?
My best nurse. She gets me out most days to walk. And dogs have that gift of being present and just being happy in the moment. And when there's nothing going on, they sleep and they eat to live. And so I'd say my sleeping and eating habits have really changed. My perspective on how I take care of myself has really shifted. And that part hasn't been bad. The COVID thing for everybody was tough. And so being isolated on top of 4 years of going through, ovarian cancer and treatment continually, that was tough. But, it's spring, the sun is shining, and I'm hoping to be done with chemo in July. And yeah, maybe by the fall, go somewhere.
Get to go, go travel, travel and
that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's right. I think
looking ahead.
Another great coping skill is having something to look forward to. You know what I mean? Like, just like you said, chemo's going to be over in July. There's a chance that you're going to get to go do something fun after that. So
absolutely,
having something to look forward to is so important.
Yeah, I think it is. I think attitude is key. Yeah. And I've been very lucky because as much chemo as I've had, I've done pretty well with it. Friends of mine who know nothing about cancer process, ovarian specifically, they envision chemo where everybody's throwing up in buckets in the same room, that kind of thing. I've managed to do pretty well with even as much as much chemo as I've had. And the only setback I did have last treatment was I had to get a new Lasta. Do you know what those devices are? It's for low white blood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that really socked it to me. That was worse than probably most of the chemos I've had.
Was it bone pain?
The bone pain, and massive headaches. So, that has been kind of interesting, but I feel good now. And just in time to go back and get it. No. Hopefully I'm not going to have the new Lasta. It'll be interesting to see how that impacted my white blood count. So
we'll see how this new chemo regime works for you. Yeah.
Well, this is the same chemo I've had.
Oh, it's the same one. You've been able
to one I've had both in 2017, 2018. I'm having carbodoxil. It worked for me.
Yeah, it's still working.
My doctor feels do it again. Yeah.
Okay, good. And then you do know what to expect, and you're a little bit more comfortable with that because
the Doxil's the red one. They used to call it the Red Devil. It's bright red, looks like Kool-Aid. And it's the one that creates a lot of neuropathy for women. But I used to call it that too, but I don't. I think of it as little red soldiers, going in there,
fighting it off.
Doing my battle for me. So I'm pretty lucky in most ways with the whole process,
Yeah.
The only thing is getting up to Denver is always not a treat.
Yeah. So you are in that rural area of our state where there's not a lot of access to cancer care. And so you've been for all of these years traveling to Denver to get your treatment from Durango, Colorado. So in a car, how many miles is that? 350 miles you have to travel.
I have been lucky because I've used the services of Angel Flight West. Quite a bit. Quite a bit. They're wonderful. And that's been great. And especially, and my son lived in Denver in 2017 when I was going up weekly or bi-weekly for 50 weeks before I recurred. So that was a weekly or bi-weekly process in 2017. And I was back and forth a lot. A lot. I don't know how I did it now. When I think about how fast a week goes. Yeah.
That seems like a lot of travel for.
It was.
So tell me, what would you tell somebody who was newly diagnosed with ovarian cancer?
Number one, don't read the internet. Don't go on Google.
Don't look at Google.
No.
It's terrible.
No. You'll have yourself packed up and ready to roll out the door, and everybody's different.
Yeah, it's true.
I was diagnosed as 3C. And everybody's course and symptoms and treatment and reactions seem to be different.
Absolutely.
But I think, Susan, the main thing I would stress is how many young women it affects. I was never aware of the amount of young women. I've lost 2 in the last 2 years who are in their 20s.
Right.
And actually the hospital recently lost a teenager, a young gal.
She was diagnosed at like 16 and just recently.
Peyton.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
She just passed.
Yeah.
So that, I guess, would be the one thing that was shocking to me. But I would just say, get the information, but don't try to be your own doctor, and,
Right.
Find a physician, a gynec preferably, that you really trust.
That's right.
And that's who you ask the questions. Don't listen to everybody has an opinion.
Right. Everybody thinks that what they know can cure your cancer. It's
and
true.
Especially people who've never had cancer,
Right.
tell you what to eat, tell you what to do, tell you don't eat sugar, everybody, 10 friends, 11 opinions. So I would just find a doctor you trust. Absolutely. And use their team for the information you need, and definitely don't Google.
Don't Google. I agree.
Don't Google.
I tell people that all the time. Don't Google it. That's the worst thing you can do. Ask your doctor. Write the questions that you want to type into Google. Write them on a piece of paper and bring them to your doctor.
Exactly. Write things down.
Write them down. Take it to your doctor.
I mean, I think now with COVID, people can't bring anybody in the room.
Yeah.
At one point, I had asked my doctor if I could tape record it.
Oh.
He wasn't comfortable with that. He said it was kind of a hospital thing.
Yeah. Compliance. Yeah.
But I'm very lucky because there's in 4 years, there's only one time where he kind of raced out the door. It was very short visit, but he was in scrubs.
Yeah.
So he either had an emergency or was in surgery. And I find he is just willing to really take whatever time is necessary. And that's why I schlep up there,
It's good.
Also,
I'm so glad that you have a relationship with a doctor that you love and trust for all of these years, and that he's been so good to you. His Dr. Bobak in Denver. Babak.
And he's wonderful. And I mean, I feel like, unlike a dentist or unlike, even who might deliver your kids, once you start with this doctor, you're going to really have a relationship with him till the end of your life.
All right. So get one that you like. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully you have one you trust and feel comfortable asking questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what your suggestion of writing stuff down, critical.
Yeah.
Because you're just mind boggled.
Oh, absolutely.
At the time. And I was a court reporter.
Oh, gosh.
For my profession. So I listen when I'm not.
Right.
But still there would be times where I would think, did he say or did he say that? So and if you don't feel comfortable writing it down, maybe suggest taping it, with a little, I mean, even phones these days have a tape recorder.
Absolutely. You can talk into your phone and save it and play it when you get back at the doctor's
Yeah, there's
office.
tools. There's tools that women, I don't think even 5 years ago had. So
I know, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about your connection with Sue's Gift, and have you benefited from any of our programs, services?
Oh, you guys, I forget, I think it was the first or second year I found out about you, or I met you, and you're the one who told me about the scholarship, which I did achieve. And really, it saved me. It really took the edge off. Because I had gone from a lucrative business to completely having to retire.
Right.
And all of a sudden the income flow just stopped. So, I had business expenses I had to wrap up, and my home expenses, even just food. There was just nothing coming in. I mean, with my business, 120 days, you can still get a check, possibly on a job you had done 4 months previously.
Right. At some point that stops because
because I think in that year you had to be 65 or 67 to collect full Social Security.
And you weren't.
So here I paid in as a self-employed person all these years, and I get about half of what I would have gotten had I been able to retire 2 or 3 years later, which I was planning to work till even now.
Yeah.
I'm 68 now. I was not really thinking about retiring at all.
At 63.
So that was a big slam. And the Sue's Gift really was a lifesaver. I mean, the money, you just don't even realize in the midst of being ill, the financial impact that's about to, the tsunami is about to come in when all of a sudden the medical bills, and I was not on Medicare at that time.
Right.
Um,
I remember, I think
and,
that we
yeah.
helped pay for to get you back and forth to Denver. I think there was transportation
Yep.
here we helped pay for, and then another
Yeah.
year we helped with some household bills or something like that.
Yep,
too.
definitely.
Yeah.
So that was critical. And then also, I found out about Angel Flight,
Yeah.
which, yeah, godsend, because otherwise, I'm
So
not sure.
Angel Flight is an organization that helps fly patients just like you, people who have to
Correct.
go long distance to get chemo and cancer treatments. So
Any
they
kind of treatment, any kind of
oh,
medical.
oh, any
Yeah.
kind of medical treatment. Okay, great. I thought it
And
was just
there's
cancer.
Angel Flight West, which is based out of California, and Angel Flight East, which is, I think, in Philadelphia. I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure where the Eastern is headquartered now, but yeah, I learned of that through the hospital.
That's great.
And you have to like to fly in little planes because they are generally 4 to 6 seaters, if
Little
that.
corporate jets. You get to take the little corporate jet to treatment.
Not often the jet. I mean, once in a while the jet, but often it's more of like a Cessna 182.
Okay. Oh, cool,
So,
then.
but still, I like flying and met some really great people along the way.
I bet that's an
And
interesting
instead of it
experience.
taking 6 to 8 hours, depending on traffic and weather, to drive there, I generally get home anywhere between an hour and a half and 3 to 4 hours,
Wow.
but much easier trip.
Much easier trip, and you don't have
Yeah.
to drive it. Yeah.
Right.
Somebody else is driving. Yeah. Somebody else is flying you. That's what's great.
Yeah, because
Wow.
after treatment, especially, the last thing you feel like doing is driving 6
Driving
hours.
6 hours home. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
They would probably book you in put you in the hospital and keep you overnight and then send you home maybe or something.
I don't know what they do with me.
I know. I don't know how they would do that other way,
I don't know, but
350-mile drive. That seems crazy.
it's crazy.
Yeah,
It is crazy.
it is. So let's talk about awareness. What did you know about ovarian cancer before you got diagnosed?
Nothing.
Nothing. Really? That's what most people say.
I had a cousin that did have ovarian cancer, as it turned out.
Huh.
But she had other medical problems, so that was really downplayed.
Oh, I see.
In fact, they said she ended up, I mean, I guess her primary cancer was ovarian, but as it turned out, they said we thought she died of liver cancer or something.
Okay.
And that was 10 years ago.
Wow.
So, in the midst of, it might have even been longer. So in the midst of busy life, working full time, kid, teenager, whatever, it was never on my radar.
Never even on the radar. No. What would you want other women to know? One thing we talked about earlier was that this really does affect women of all ages.
Young women.
Women and older women. People do think it's an older woman's disease, but that's not necessarily true. It does affect younger women. Is there anything else that you want other women to know?
I would just say, be tuned in with your body, because the depressing part, the part that's hard for all of us is there's no screening.
Right.
And I think a lot of women are under the misconception that, oh, well, I had my pap smear, everything's fine.
That's exactly it. Yes. The pap smear only screens for cervical cancer. There are 6 other gynecologic cancers there. We only have an early detection for one of them. And
the other thing I learned recently, actually, is you can get ovarian cancer even if you've already had a hysterectomy. Mm-hmm. Now, I was thinking, how can you get ovarian cancer if you have no ovaries? But yeah, so the awareness is key. The awareness
really is.
And I actually had some cards printed with the symptoms.
Oh, yeah.
I had a credit at my print shop, which, I kept these guys in business as a court reporter in the old days where we used to print on everything. And I had these cards printed with a sticky back, and I keep it, prior to COVID, I keep them in my purse. And when I go in airports, bathrooms, everywhere, I stick them on the back of the door or next to the toilet paper
Oh, that's a
thing. And
great
they're hot
idea.
pink and teal, of course, teal,
Teal.
but they're very eye-catching, and it basically says women know the symptoms,
Yeah.
bloating, and it lists them very concisely. It's not a lot of information,
But just enough to get the point across. Good for
yeah,
you.
because people don't even know the symptoms. So
yeah, they really don't. And it is very, very kind of you to think of other women that way.
well,
it really is.
if I could prevent one person from having to go through this,
right. Yeah,
I'd feel like, this had some purpose.
absolutely. And I think, newly diagnosed patients and people who have never had ovarian cancer, never heard of it before, I believe really knowing your body and being in tune with your body and knowing when something is off. And when your doctor of 30 years tells you, oh, you're just eating too many cookies. I mean, like, in your heart, in your body, in your soul, something is wrong with your body. So but push back and advocate for yourself.
But also, as you and I know so well, by the time you have symptoms, you generally stage 3 and 4.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
that's what's
hard.
tough.
That is a hard thing about this disease, for sure. For sure. Let's talk about some of the reactions that family and friends had when you told them about your diagnosis.
Oh, well,
That's hard.
That's a tough one. I think as Janine Smith said, there are the bolters. I love her too. There are the bolters and there are the stickers or something like that. There are friends that stick with you through thick and thin, and then there are close friends who disappear.
Yeah.
I had one who was a nurse, who actually, in fact, was the woman, a dear friend that came with me when I had my surgery.
Wow.
And then I never heard from her for 5 months. And she just sort of, bolted for whatever reason. I never really even had a chance to speak with her because I was so involved with my own health situation.
Yeah,
but
sure.
People have a hard time with, I think a lot of people have trouble with disease in general.
Yes.
Cancer. I don't know if they think it's contagious.
Or I think that sometimes people don't know how to manage their own feelings about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like sometimes people don't stay away and say, oh, I'll just give you some space. And really it's because they can't manage their own feelings about your situation, which is,
I've had
it's usually not about you or the patient at all. It tends to usually be about the other person.
They can't handle it.
Right.
I've had a very close relative say to me, who I rarely speak to, I can't handle it. I don't want to hear it. And it's just too scary. And I think it's too close to home for some people.
Yep.
But emotions from others are just all over the board. So you got to find your own support, or whatever works for you that way.
Right. Yeah. And you can't really try to get people to connect, you know what I mean? Like, you can't force people to stay in that circle and with you. If they need to get out of the circle because they can't handle it, there's nothing you can do. And and that's just what that is. Yeah. Hey, let's talk for a minute too about how we met. You know what? You and I, we've known each other for a long time. We met at the Ovarian Cancer. Yay! Hello. What's that cat's name?
That's big old Trevor.
Hi, Trevor. Again, with our coping skills, we love our pets, right?
I do.
They help us cope. They sure do. Hi, Trevor.
As far as coping, I think you have to find things that make you happy being at home.
Absolutely.
Because of a lot of downtime, whether, through the whole process. And I'm lucky in that I've always been someone, I have a pottery studio at my home. I like to read. I walk my dog. So I find things to keep myself busy where I'm not focusing on my process and why I'm home so much. Some people have a hard time being home. That's an adjustment.
It is an adjustment for a lot of people.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So you and I met
Yeah,
years
we
ago
met.
at Ovarian Cancer Research Alliance conference, which
That's
is
right.
such an amazing and valuable resource for women with ovarian cancer.
It is.
It was a it's a great organization, first of all, for information and for that. And they do a
Awareness.
scholarship awareness.
Right.
They do a scholarship conference for newly diagnosed patients and patients who are in recurrence,
Involved.
yeah, involved with it. So you were able to get the scholarship
Three times.
three times
Three.
to go to conference.
Yes.
Right.
They paid for I think they give you up to $500 for your flight.
Right.
Which was great because I was able to fly right from Durango to each of the three, Chicago, Washington, and Seattle.
Yeah.
And they provide a room at the hotel during the conference with a roommate.
Yes, with a new friend.
And so you get to share. Yeah, you get another woman to share the experience with. I don't have a problem sharing a room. You can choose to get your own room if that's an issue. But yeah, I met just such great women, yourself included, and Janine, who's with the Colorado organization, and like-minded women going through the same thing,
and advocates
it's a
from
great
all
resource.
over the country. Yeah.
And the research. I mean, you hear about what's going on in the field. It gave me my first introduction to PARP inhibitors, which I later went on.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And yeah, I mean, it's invaluable.
Yeah.
A little sad also because from year to year, you notice there's a few less people that you might have met up with, but I'm just focused on trying to take the good parts of all this. And
absolutely,
you can't get too involved with all the sadness, and
you really can't. No,
you have to get a little compartmentalize that a little bit. Otherwise it really can be difficult. Yeah. But the conference is upbeat, it's fun, it's like a teal explosion.
Oh my God,
everybody's wearing teal,
the teal clothes and the changes of outfits. Like we all change outfits like 5 times a day, right? Like we're all like, oh, this teal outfit and then this teal outfit.
It's like although there were quite a few men, but
there are a few
women and a lot of teal glitter,
a lot of teal glam greatness.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And the latest, the doctor's talking about the latest treatments, the things that are coming down the pipeline from research, anything that's going on in gynecologic and ovarian cancer world.
How about Dr. King, the woman who discovered the BRCA gene?
Right.
Remember,
she presented.
Her?
Yes. And she presented.
So that was amazing on a genetic level.
Yeah, conference has been great for me. I did get the scholarship to go back in 2016, and I've been going ever since because it is such great information, and the people that you meet are so incredible.
I'm going to try not to miss one. I'm hoping they'll have one. Will it be a full year from now? Probably.
It might be. Yeah.
Yeah.
We might have to do another one. Anyway.
Anyway.
I love chatting with you, Susan. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. And thanks for what you do, because especially here in Colorado, it's so isolated in many ways. I mean, even in the small town I live with, even the breast cancer group shut down because it was small. Although there are a lot of women who have breast cancer.
Cancer in Durango, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of cancer in this area, but as far as ovarian, it's such a different animal.
It really is.
And so it's just nice to meet awesome women and people like you who support us to really get through all this as best we can.
Well, thank you so much.
I hope I see you so soon.
I hope I see you soon too. We need to get together. I'm on my first shot, so I'll get my second shot. And then I'm like out in the world. All right, good. Okay, good.
And I come up to Denver once a month, so I'll be in touch for sure.
We'll get together soon. Thank you for doing this with us. And thank you for using your story to inspire others and to raise awareness this way. I really appreciate you.
I hope it helps. Yeah.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. Bye.